Okay then, so now that you've learned how to concentrate, now you can learn to visualize. And with the previous video, which will be up here, which you haven't watched it, watch it, then visualization will probably become a bit easier because you're able to obviously concentrate on one thing at a time for a period of time. But now visualization can be very difficult for people. Some people, it's extremely easy. They just visualize something and they see it as in plain sight, as plain as day. Whereas some people, they find it very difficult. The images are a bit murky, or they battle to visualize at all. But we do visualize on a constant basis the whole day. If you think about it, if you imagine having a conversation with somebody, or you think of a scene, a memory, for instance, then you often see that conversation or see the place where that memory took place in your mind's eye. So you do actually visualize things every day. I know some people do still battle with this, and that's fine. But it's a bit like a muscle, so the more you practice it, the more easier it gets. So I just want to give you some exercises to actually help with visualization. So the first exercise is just to imagine a cube, and the cube is not moving, it's just still. Just imagine a cube with surfaces and just keep that in your focus. Just visualize this cube for 10 minutes, again up to 20 minutes, and just let it sit there, not moving, not doing anything, just a cube, that's it. Then once you can do that, once you can visualize that for a period of time, then move on to exercise 2, which is the same thing. So you imagine a cube, but this time it's moving. So it's spinning around, it's going in different directions, and it can go slowly, and then it can go fast, and then it can go slow again. So just imagine it moving around in space. And again, start with 10 minutes up to 20 minutes. Then what you can do is go on to the next exercise, exercise 3. Same thing again, but in this instance we're going to expand on it slightly by bringing in more scenery, bringing in more visuals, more interaction. So imagine a scene. I'm going to suggest walking through a forest or a meadow or something like that, something nature-based, something that you would like. And just imagine the scene. You can see the grass, you can see the trees. If there's birds and animals around, just watch them. In this instance, you're purely the observer, you're only watching. So don't interact with anything, just stand there, just imagine the scene. And what you can then do, this gets a bit more difficult, but you can extend this into a much more advanced practice. If you can get hold of it, and I think as far as I know it's actually free online now, a book called Initiation into Hermetics by Franz Barden. Excellent book. If you do try and do all of the exercises and the actual program that's outlined in the book, it becomes quite time consuming. So you might want to just read through it, just pick up some stuff that you feel may help your practice, and just practice those. There's some very interesting stuff from it, especially when it gets to fluid condensers and things like that. But in there's a whole program for visualization. Oops, sorry, I think I hit my mic there. There's a whole program for visualization. So if you want to extend the practice further, then what you can do is take the visualization of the cube, and what you're going to do is actually project it. So in this instance, you would visualize a cube with your eyes closed, just motionless, sitting there. Then what you would do, you would open your eyes and gaze at a blank wall. Right. gaze at a blank wall, and you would project the image of the cube onto the wall in 3D. It's, as I say, this is extremely difficult, far more advanced, and it can be done, it can be accomplished, but over time it could take months, it could take years. Some people, it could be faster than other people, but very good practice to actually, if you can get it right, then visualization, you're mastering the mind unbelievably. So that there is that, and then what you can do is you can take it even further, and you can bring in all of your senses. So instead of a cube, which is visual, you may want to imagine a sound, and you focus on that sound. So that would be your sense of hearing, and then you can visualize a smell. And then visualize like a breeze blowing against your skin. So you can go through all of the senses and develop your visualization through all the senses, and really master it. When you're doing the exercise, when you're doing exercise 3 with where you're visualizing a scene, you might actually find that bringing the senses into it is quite helpful and a little bit easier, because you've already got the scene there. You may have birds flying overhead, so you can hear the birds or hear the animals, hear the breeze through the trees. You can feel the breeze on your skin. You can smell the grass and the flowers. So that's really getting advanced. Now what you can also do, so this was in Robin Artison's book, The Witching Way of the Hollow Hill. Now what he mentions in there is, it's called the witch sight, and what you do is you start with one sense. So it may be your sense of hearing, and you sit quietly in meditation and you start to hear everything. Now what we do, we filter things out. So you may pick up one sound with the exclusion of everything else. Try and broaden that base. Try and broaden the sounds that you're hearing. So instead of moving from that sound to the next sound, try and keep that sound in your mind, and find the next sound and bring in that sound as well, and then the next sound and bring in that sound, so that eventually you're hearing all sounds around you without filtering any out. Then you can move on to the next sense. So it may be a sense of touch, so you can feel the clothes on your body, you can feel the floor under your backside where you're sitting, or the chair, or whatever it may be, and then go through each sense. Your sense of smell, what you're smelling, but try not to filter out anything. I mean, there's a multitude of things that your senses are picking up. And then when you've gone through each one, then you can use all of them at once. It can be quite overwhelming, actually. So take it slowly, but it is a very interesting practice to actually do, and it does expand your consciousness a lot. But as I say, these are far more advanced practices that aren't completely necessary. But if you do want to completely and utterly master the mind, then see how it goes. Just practice them and take it from there. Anyway, so that was visualization, which you can use after you've done concentration. So this is all part of a meditation practice. So you would start with your stillness, and just becoming aware of your breath and your body, and you would move on to breathing. Just doing some breathing exercises and pranayama, and then you can move on to concentration, and then you can move on to visualization, and that's it. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Cheers.